Joining us live in the studios now is ODM National Elections Board Chair, Catherine Muma. Chair, welcome to Sunday Live.
Thanks, Jeff.
So your ODM nominations were supposed to kick off on Friday, but you called them off in Nakuru. Why? Now,
we called off the nominations in Nakuru because there was an incidence of violence. When our team got to Nakuru and recruited the presiding officers and the clerks and scheduled the training of the presiding officers and clerks, some party enthusiasts stormed the place and demanded that the presiding officers and clerks on their lists must be the ones to be trained. They wanted us to use lists that they had come up with. They had purportedly forwarded those lists to NEB, which means somebody was recruiting on the ground and telling people they have forwarded lists to Nairobi. And when we got there and recruited fresh officers, they scuttled the process. So what we did was to ask our team to move to the Central Police Station for safety. And after consultation, I was not there, but I called the officer or the ODM enthusiast who felt that his lists and the lists of other local officials should be used. I spoke with him. I thought I might persuade him to let go and allow NEB to carry out its independent exercise, but he was adamant that the exercise cannot go on unless we use their lists. At that point, I felt that we cannot be blackmailed, and for us, we have zero tolerance for violence, so we decided to call off the exercise in Nakuru.
And Chair, this election cycle, ODM has decided to use different nomination methods, if you will. How do you gauge which scenario to use which method for?
Our number one method is consensus building. Consensus means that you let the aspirants speak to each other by themselves or through a third party to try and settle for one. We are trying to avoid adversarial fallouts because as a party we want to move as a united front. We also use opinion polls. Opinion polls are scientific, and they tell us what's happening on the ground, and they will rate aspirants, not just ODM aspirants, but all the aspirants in any electoral area. And we use some of those to, we use opinion polls to tell the aspirants, I think this is your rating and this is your rating. And in some instances, and not just one, we have managed to persuade those who are not rated very highly to step down for those who are doing well in order for us to move as a united front. So we have used that in some instances, but it is a negotiation. Yeah. So the participants have to be willing participants and to see the point that the party is moving to.
Chair, but you saw just in the package just before Mombasa gubernatorial aspirant Suleiman Shahbal. He says, what polls? He doesn't believe these polls. Who's behind these polls?
Of course, we are using, I will not mention the names, but we are using pollsters who are renowned, who have done opinion polling, not just for the ODM candidates, but for political candidates, including presidential candidates across the country.
There was an issue with the direct nomination for the Kisii women representative, and quite a few aspirants, over 100, saying they will leave the party. If this is not reversed, is that something that's being considered by NEB?
Now, the aspirants in Kisii were under the impression that we had handed over a certificate to the current woman rep. I'd like to assure them that we have not handed over any certificate. We had conversation around consensus. We have not arrived at that consensus. And as it is, we are actually planning to carry out nominations in Kisii and Nyamira on Thursday. But even then, we are still carrying out consensus among those aspirants. And for some of them, we've actually managed to step down some to one. So consensus will be ongoing and can happen even the day before the nominations. And somebody will tell us, don't carry out nominations for this particular ward or for this constituency because the candidates have agreed.
Yeah. Chair, how does ODM avoid the chaos of the past? Because a lot of viewers in their minds, when they think of ODM nominations, they think of the famous Men in Black. How do you avoid that? Now,
the reason, I believe I was appointed chair because I was also the chair of the task force that reviewed the 2017 ODM party primaries. And you're right, a lot of the members are not happy about the nomination process. So when we came on board, we've been in office, in August we will have done 2 years. The first thing we did was to bring the 4 methods. Instead of the only method being to go to competitive party primaries, we felt itemize all the 4 methods so that it is clear that any of those methods is legal, including direct nomination. Direct nomination can happen where we have lone candidates. Direct nomination can happen because a candidate is way ahead. We think it may not be fair to subject a candidate who is way ahead to primaries when we know that is the clear winner. We actually exhaust their resources and make it difficult for them to compete with candidates from the other parties. We can also give direct nomination when we fish a good candidate from another party. If we manage to get a good candidate from Jubilee, for instance, I think it would be wrong to subject them to party primaries because they don't even know the ODM members in order for them to campaign. And so there are many reasons why a party and parties world over actually give direct tickets. But ODM did not have that in black and white in its rules. Now it has it. We also provided for voting by delegates. Political parties, the Conservative Party, the Labour Party, interview their candidates. They use the party officials and party delegates to interview and get the best candidate. And there's nothing wrong with that. So we've provided for that method, although we are not using it. We only used it for the presidential elections in 2022, but we hope in future we can use it. And then, of course, you go for primaries in the few instances where you're not able to achieve consensus or where you don't have direct candidates. So we've provided for all these methods to try and ensure that we allay some of the problems and fears that were there. The other thing we have done is take the bold step to change the way in which we are voting. We are trying, or we are going to vote using computer-aided voting for the first time. We reviewed the vote by the hard copy ballot papers, and what we found out in the task force is that it is almost impossible for that process to be fair. You will print ballots, and you're going to work with human beings called returning officers. You will have your ballot boxes planned for Homa Bay County. You will pack them in a lorry in Nairobi, put a returning officer in that lorry to take the ballot boxes to the various polling centers in Homa Bay. Before they reach Limuru, in fact, before they reach Westlands, they've already they've received some money from somebody and given ballots for somebody to go and print another lot to staff. By the time they reach Limuru, a second aspirant has also given in some monies. By the time they reach Burnt Forest, they're telling you, we have a tire burst, so we are delayed, and maybe they're marking ballots. And you can imagine how it looks like. That's one lorry going to Homa Bay. There is another one going to Migori. There is another one going to Kakamega. I looked at it and I thought, unless the Lord drops returning officers from heaven or some of his angels to be returning officers, it is almost impossible to deliver a free and fair election.
Chair, you want to hold that thought? I think we'll take a break and come back and talk some more, because this is really interesting stuff. We're talking to the ODM, National Elections Board Chair, Catherine Moma.